Hello, this is That Talking Podcast. I'm JJ Starr.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
Welcome, welcome. We're here to talk and bring some civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world. How are you?
I'm staring at those grapes like...
You're not going to eat those grapes.
Can I has grape?
You cannot has grape until we wrap. Nope, that's craft services.
She's talking about these.
It's craft services, and that is for off-camera only.
Okay.
All right.
But I will has grape after.
Yes, and maybe we should make that a new rule.
No grapes until after?
No grapes until after. There's a bug in here, by the way.
Where?
It's flying around behind you.
You cannot has grape.
No, yeah, cover the grapes. Before we get into it, we're gonna just break down the rules real quick, get them out of the way. No judgment, nothing personal, and don't be a dick.
You know what's really funny is that if that bug makes its way on camera, it'll be a star.
It's gonna be a star.
Like all those chickens.
Like that chicken and rubber.
We had
this week almost didn't happen. It's late night and we're emotionally worn. Some real life has happened.
Well,
in the last
real life happened, last episode too, and then
Yeah.
it bled into this one. It's like, do we go for the hat trick? Hopefully not.
Yeah,
but...
right. Some things just keep on coming, but that is real life, and we're here to talk about it.
It boggles my mind how many people are. I mean, I understand that people get uncomfortable when it comes to dealing with real life.
Yeah,
talking about it.
Which is weird to me, because why would you be weird about talking about real life? Real life does happen to almost everybody.
Like, death is a reality.
Yes.
And I know some people who just absolutely cannot talk about it, in any capacity.
Yeah.
That being said, we were given the very unfortunate news Saturday evening that my father passed.
Yeah.
Just turned 80 years old on April 13th.
He wanted to hit 80 and he did it, and then he just pushed a little further.
I was thinking earlier today, I'm kind of glad he not only lived to see 80, but he also lived to see Mike turn 50.
That's true. That's true.
It's just like when my mother went, I'm like, I'm so glad she didn't go on my birthday.
Yeah.
She waited till the next day.
She did. She waited because she didn't want to ruin your birthday.
Because my grandmother died on my mother's birthday. And
so she knew that
she's like,
sucks.
I'm not doing this to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my father. Oh, what do we do with this episode? Like, do I just tell stories? Do I talk about like how Saturday went? Like,
This is grief.
This is real time grief.
Yeah, and it's different for everybody. It looks different for everybody, And I think that this is one of those things that not a lot of people talk about because it does make people uncomfortable. I mean, I told you I'm not good with grief. I handle grief, and I do grieve. I am grieving, but I'm very awkward around other people's grief.
There were two very specific moments in my childhood when I kind of came to terms with what death was.
Yeah.
I remember my great aunt. So I think my father's aunt passed when I was very, very young, like 3 or 4, maybe 5.
Yeah. And you remember that?
Oh yeah. That was the first wake I ever went to.
Okay.
Very creeped out, like, first time in a funeral home, first time seeing a casket, and an open casket with, a body inside, and be like, and to see what a non-living person looked like for the first time as a child. And, not a very vivid memory of anything else, per the wake, but like, I do remember going to her house afterwards and finding like a kite string. Because like everyone was just like taking all her stuff, and I'm just like, oh, can I have this like spool of string here? And I used it for a kite.
All right.
I remember John found a bottle, like a nip of SoCo, but it was like very conveniently hidden in this like
out of shame, probably
in this woven. No, it was. I think it was made to be this way. It was like a woven like Mexican bandito costume. It was very colorful. It was all like red and yellow and orange and all these other, and so there was like the bottom, like almost like somebody crocheted it. And there's the bottom half, the bottle goes in, then it had like the scarf that went over top, and then it had a sombrero that sat on top. So you didn't see the bottle at all.
Cute.
But you take this costume off, and then there's
Yeah.
I wonder if that's still in the liquor cabinet.
I that was one moment of grief from your childhood. What was the second one?
When I saw Diamonds Are Forever for the first time. Yeah, because in the Sean Connery classic, there is a scene where they mistake they get the words out. They mistake him for somebody else, and so they knock him out, put him in a crematory,
Yeah.
and the scene is going, and he's making his way. He's locked inside the casket, and he's about to go into the furnace, and all of a sudden, like you see like smoke rising up near his feet, from the inside of the fire and everything, and then all of a sudden the lights turn on, and they're just like, these diamonds are fakes. So like
this caused you grief.
No, I started this off. No. If you would remember, I started this off by saying these were two very distinct memories of when I came to terms
with death,
with what death was.
Gotcha.
Pay attention.
It's late.
It's
closing in on my bedtime,
and those two moments made me very fearful of the finality of death. Like, that's really when I grasped what mortality was.
Yeah.
And I've been terrified of it ever since.
The first funeral I went to was actually when I was a senior in high school. And my friend Chris was killed in a car accident, like right after September 11th. And we, like the entire senior class essentially left school to go to his wake in the middle of the day and then go back to school. So, and it was the first time I'd ever experienced like an actual death of a person, because both of my grandfathers died when I was young. So, and and my grandmothers were still alive, and I didn't have a big extended family and everything like that we were like really close with. So this was the first instance that I experienced like the death of a loved one. And I had no idea what I was doing. I'm like, I know we're supposed to be quiet, and that's really all I got. And I was like, I mean, that happened years later too. At my grandmother's funeral, we didn't know what was happening because the whole thing was in Armenian. So we were just sort of like looking, side-eyeing my aunt, seeing when we were supposed to cross ourselves. But I never really knew grief until like my uncle died. And then a couple years later, my grandmother died. And it was difficult for me to sort of process, like, because I was more concerned with how my family was feeling than with how I was supposed to process it. I knew that death happened. I knew it was a part of life. I accepted it. And I really didn't mourn. I grieved, but I didn't mourn, because I was much more concerned with how like my mother was handling it and my sister was handling it and everything. So it, the first death that I truly mourned was when I lost Banky. That was actually the first time I really mourned a loss. And it's different for everybody, but it's like, I think I always had a grasp on death, but I'm 41 years old. I still don't have a handle on grief.
I mean, I don't know about now, but up until a couple of years ago, I still knew people, because people who are, in mind right now have been to them since. But up until a couple of years ago, I knew people who had never been to a wake or a funeral.
Yeah.
I'm like, how have you not like known anybody who's died or anything like that? Like, and after my great aunt died, the next wake I would go to would be my grandfather's, my father's father, who had been sick, and I was so incredibly, at this point I'm almost 11, like I'm weeks shy of turning 11, and I was terrified to walk into the room. I did not want to see him in the casket.
Yeah.
I peered in from afar. I remember spending a lot of the viewing hours outside by the water cooler.
Yeah.
And, like that was like the place I was kind of like my cousins would all come out and like see me there, and we'd all just like stand around and just like chit chat because I wasn't, they're like, it's okay, you don't have to go in, but like, and then eventually I mustered up the nerve to walk in, and I kneeled down in front of it and I said a prayer and everything. It still creeps me out, because it's like if the morticians don't make them like passable, like they don't make them look like they did while they were alive, and you can just tell like they're made up, like it's,
well, that's a bad job.
To this day I still have a hard time and hesitate approaching an open casket. Hell, even approaching a closed one, but like and for me that was my, I mean, there were deaths in between, but like the major ones were my grandparents. They all came pretty quick. My father's father was 99. My mother's father was 03. My father's mother was 04. And then my mother's mother didn't go till 13.
Yeah.
But I had gone to friends ones. I'd gone to parents of friends ones. Because out of respect, I attend because that's what you do. You pay your respects to the deceased, either because you knew them or because you're close with a friend or relative of theirs. That's what our religion, our heritage, or whatever it teaches us. It's like you show respect for the deceased.
Yeah.
But boy, did it start to really, really hurt when immediate families started going.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about my brother John and my mother before on this podcast, but I mean, there are moments associated with those, that will haunt me forever. Like, and it gets to a point where like, it's coming, like, it's only a matter of time. And then sometimes, you could be like, okay, well, we knew it was coming, but then other times it hits you out of nowhere. Like this past Saturday, I knew my dad was in poor health. I've been telling him for years, start eating better, start moving around more, get a second opinion, do this, do that, do whatever. And you pointed out the other night, it wasn't that I was trying to tell him what to do or be mean or anything like that. I wanted him to have a better quality of life, and I wanted him to take my advice.
Yeah.
But, I was about to leave for the gig that we had Saturday night, and Mike calls, my brother, and he's like, hang on, I got Mark on the other line, we got to merge them together. Now I'm thinking at this moment, like this is only 2 days ago, I'm at the time of recording this, I'm thinking in my mind, we're going to have a conversation about putting him in like assisted living or something, because he's finally at that point where he shouldn't be alone.
Yeah.
Or, he's going to tell me dad's back in the hospital because of what he just came out of the hospital for, because I just picked him up from the hospital on Tuesday.
Yeah.
But some such thing related to his condition. Like this is going to be like a brother to brother. Like, we have to just talk amongst ourselves how to help dad going forward. And he goes, I told Mark this already earlier, but dad died this morning. And I yelled out the word "what?" because it hit me out of nowhere. I literally had just seen him 4 days before.
It felt like it came out of nowhere, even though, I mean, he was in and out of the hospital so much.
He was a frequent flyer.
Very frequent flyer. And I mean, his health was getting worse and worse. He was constantly talking about it, that, like, I don't have a lot longer and everything, but that's just one of those things that you think you say.
But then he started telling us about his panic attacks and how he didn't want to be alone. And I'm like, then come here. I can't make it up your stairs. I'm like, well, he would always call me at like the worst possible moments. Like if I was about to fall asleep, it's like, I fell, you got to come pick me up. And I did a lot of the times.
Yeah. It was a shock though, as it was always going to be. No matter how prepared you think you're going to be for it, you're never actually going to be.
I just envisioned it kind of going like how it went with Mom, because she was in hospice at the end and she was home, and we had a bed put in the living room, and we kept her as comfortable as we could, and gave her medications and did what we could for her. But, gradually, in the weeks leading up to when she passed, you could see the decline. You
Yeah.
could see her, progressively getting worse. And it's just like, it's any day now, But Dad, up until, again, the last time I saw him was a week before this episode airs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And still fully functional. Still cognitive function was spot on. He was getting around okay. He had his oxygen tanks. I had to change one for him at the diner. But no like dramatic decrease in, mobility or functionality.
I mean, I've seen the man over the last 3 years, and he definitely, in my opinion, he was obviously in decline.
Yes, but again, if you had seen my mother, like, you would have watched, as we did, as over time, everything kind of started to just like taper off.
Yeah.
Like, her speech slurred, her, she had far less energy, she was sleeping a lot more, she was way less mobile, and then she was essentially confined to the bed. But Dad, was able to still get up and get around and do things, and still very self-sufficient. I
mean, the man still could not keep from crashing that car. He had to hit something. I think he did it on purpose. I think he thought it was fun to a degree. It's like, yeah, what?
I'd like to agree with you, but I was there when he hit 3 cars in the hospital parking garage. Like, not 3. He hit one. He came very close to hitting another while the person was in it.
Yeah.
But like, he really
he was a cowboy.
He
was a rebel.
He was the frequent flyer too.
He was.
Like, he used to joke back in the early 2000s that, going to the hospital for pneumonia every Easter was like a vacation. He got better service there than he did at home. And I used to joke with him. I'm like, you're only doing this to get out of going to see your in-laws. Like, this happens every April. There's no way. Like, did you think we wouldn't pick up on this?
It's all surreal. I mean, it's always going to be surreal for a while. And then when it stops being surreal, it feels unreal. It's, and then it becomes, completely incredible until you just sort of exist knowing that it is real. I don't think you ever accept it. They always say that acceptance is the final step, and I don't think that necessarily it's accepted. It becomes something. It doesn't become easier. It doesn't become,
it just becomes
less painful. It just
manageable.
becomes part of, it's like living in pain. If you eventually, it's just a part of you.
I mean, to this day, there are still certain mornings where I get up like really early, and there's no falling back asleep for me. Like, you'll still be in bed, and then I'll go, I'll go to the bathroom and I'll finish, but then I'll still sit there, and then I'll just break down because, it's not like reality is setting in. Reality set in already. Yeah. Like, my immediate family is dwindling, and the ones who have already gone, their not being here it really hurts, because now all the ones who are gone, my mother, my father, my second oldest brother, third oldest brother, the one right above me,
the one above you,
were the ones I was all closest with, because, Mark moved away when he went to college and didn't see him a lot of times throughout the year. Mike stayed home for a long time, which was good, but, we all had our own lives, jobs, relationships. What I mean to say, well, so John and I were the closest in age.
Yeah.
So we were always around each other. Like,
right.
A lot of times if we would go out, it'd be mom, dad, and the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a good majority of my life with these 3 people. And now they're all gone. And I mean, I don't want to say I'm distant from Mike and Mark, but, again, we all have our own lives. We don't really do much, we don't even really communicate that much. I wish that weren't the case. I said that for years about my extended family, because for years we spent way more holidays and way more Sundays going to see my mother's family than my father's.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of unfair, because it's not like I preferred one over the other. I wished we had never left. Like, my family was the only one who kind of just like took off from New York. Everybody else stayed close to our grandparents, like whether it was in Queens or Suffern or New Jersey or wherever. Like, like we were all the aunts, uncles, and cousins stayed, closer.
Right.
And we were the ones who said, see ya. And, I found out later on, we used to have these parties at our house in Sandy Hook, where the whole family, both sides would come. And then, but I mean, I knew that already, but what I found out is that like some fight led to it not happening anymore, or some disagreement, whatever it was. It's stupid at this point, but I'm like, so now I don't get to see the rest of my family because of something I don't understand, something I wasn't privy to.
But you could always reach out.
I have. There have been times where, I've reached out to cousins and, my father's brother, my aunt and uncle, they moved down to Florida recently, and they wanted us to come visit before they did. And, I'm so glad I did, because I don't know when I'm going to see them again. Yeah. I wish they weren't so far away. Dad's cousin, the one who had 95 acres in Pennsylvania, I would have loved to have seen him a lot more before he passed. He and Dad were really close. And we went to go visit him right before he died.
Didn't he live in a VA home or something?
At the time, yeah, that's where he was. But when he was in Pennsylvania, I would see him like every 4 years.
Well, my dad's family lives in Texas, and they always have. My cousins live, in like the Midwest and everything. But I've seen them once in my life. My cousin Michaela, I've literally only, to the best of my knowledge, I've only actually seen once in person, and her sister I've never seen in person.
Like, I think
my entire life.
I think some of my cousins listen to this, and if you are listening, just know that I'm a little jealous, because you
guys tap in.
You guys get to come and see each other all the time, and got to growing up, and it's just like, I always harbored this, I don't know if it's resentment or just this bad feeling, because like I had friends who, their family was always close by. I had friends who always did things with their siblings,
That's envy.
Like they were in bands together and had, mutual friends and things like that. And because there were so many age gaps between my brothers and I, it's like we didn't run in the same circles.
Amanda and I tried to start a band.
Yeah.
A couple of times. It didn't take, but we tried. You talk about, I haven't seen my sister more than a handful of times in the last, 10, 12 years or so. She lives 3,000 miles away, and now I get to see her for the first time in 2 years.
I've seen your sister 3 times.
Yeah.
No, it hasn't been 2 years. No way. Has it?
I haven't seen her. The last time I saw her was my birthday.
Your birthday,
last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a year and a half now.
Okay.
It's been a year and a half since I've seen my sister, and now she's finally coming back for an actual visit. And the first thing she's going to do when she sees her is go to this funeral. And I was just like, she's like, of course I'm going to be there for you guys, and they're going to be there for you.
Wait a minute, your sister's coming to the...
Of course.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, wow.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I didn't know she was coming this soon.
She's going to be here on Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah. And they love you, and you get to see my parents all the time, and they love you.
It's really weird having in-laws that I actually, love and
it's
admire.
Weird. It's weird being in a relationship with someone that my parents want to be around. So congratulations.
Because I'll tell you right now, I have more in common with your sister than any sister of anybody I've ever dated before. So
probably, yeah.
And it's just like, wow.
I you know, like my cousins that live locally, you know, within an hour and everything, I've been seeing in 20 years, right? Yeah, probably more than 20 years at this point, because of a huge falling out that my family had. And now it's like, you know, the more that time passes, the more I think to myself, this is stupid. I'm like, this is literally stupid. And there's no reason anymore for us to just perpetuate this distance just because our parents, you know, dealt with it.
I'd always heard like rumblings about extended relatives or what, like somewhere in the lineage, like
Yours or mine?
in mine,
Oh,
that some siblings didn't talk to each other for like 20 years. I think like siblings of the grandparents, you
yeah.
know, and then they reconciled like at wakes or funerals, or maybe they didn't reconcile at all. But I just remember like hearing something about like siblings not speaking to each other for 20 years, and that we weren't supposed to do that because we had
Yeah.
that example, you know, to go
my
by.
my brain wants to say that my grandmother used to fight with her sister
Mm.
all the time and like would go like without speaking to each other. My brain wants to tell me that that was true, but they lived in the same house, and I find it a little difficult to imagine.
Like,
But I'm trying to think that I think I remember that happening.
I'd always heard that my grandmother, my father's mother, used to love to bicker with everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard a story about that someone said that she once said, like, why can't you argue with me like, you know, the other
Ugh.
one does? Like, which is always weird to me because it was either the summer after my grandfather died or the summer after that. I went and stayed with her for a week. I remember this.
Yeah.
She was in like a retired condo complex, and I stayed with her. We didn't argue about anything. We didn't argue like
She didn't need it from you.
I don't even remember what we chatted about.
Yeah.
Like, I remember playing cards with her, watching Bob Ross,
Yeah.
like walking to the club or, you know, whatever. But like, I don't have any bad memories of that woman.
Like my uncle used to argue constantly, but I'm pretty sure he just wanted to be right about everything. You know, like I don't understand, you know, people who are like, "Oh, I love to argue." Like a spirited debate, sure, you know, but like to bicker and stuff is like, "Oh,
That's how it was, you know, explained to me, and I'm just like, it must not be the same person because I'm not getting that from my grandmother.
yeah."
You know,
I like hearing the stories of how my grandmother had a tendency to set the kitchen on fire.
You mean like me?
Yes, just like you. Yes, you would have got along swimmingly.
I just
It's rough.
it is.
It is. I mean, like, there's no denying it.
Because now I can't bicker with my dad anymore.
Well, you can, but he can't bicker back.
Oh, he can.
I'm sure if you
He'll
listen,
find a way.
If you listen hard enough, you might hear it.
You know what's been on my mind a lot lately, even before this all happened, was trying to remember where my grandparents are buried, because I've had this idea in my head forever that I want to like just take a day to just go see them, like drive out to New York, drive out to New Jersey, because I haven't been to either mausoleum since they were buried, and it's just like, I'm sure maybe my cousins go every so often or whenever, but like if nobody ever, you know, goes, then they're just there.
Yeah.
And that's not right. Like, these people were major parts of our lives. Like, and I somehow managed to remember the name of the mausoleum my father's parents are in. I can't remember my mother's parents, but it's somewhere in Queens, so that can't be difficult.
I mean,
how many mausoleums could there be in Queens?
I go and I see my grandfather a lot.
I went with you.
Yeah,
that
and
bug is flying
I go.
over your head.
See, I told you. Nope, close. Get out of here, you scamp.
You know, we're talking about death, and we're trying to. You got it.
I'm afraid to open my hand.
Just squeeze.
I am squeezing as hard as I can. What do I do with it?
Take it outside and set it free.
No, because I could open my hand and it might be guts. Ah!
You have to leave that there for the rest of the episode now. Well, good catch.
Yuck.
You just committed a murder on camera.
Sadie, get me a tissue. Oh my god. All right.
You want to grape?
No, I don't want a grape. I want a napkin. Oh god. Talk without me.
All right.
We're back.
Getting back to death.
We're back. Oh god. Speaking of trauma. Oh boy. What are we talking about? We went to go visit my grandfather. And you've come with me and stuff. And it just happens to be that apparently, like, the majority of that family is buried in that same cemetery. I just have to find where they are.
See, now, I remember my grandfather being the first to go. He went in 99. That was my first experience with a mausoleum. And I'm like, a mausoleum? What the hell? I'm like, you just literally store caskets on shelves in a building? Like, really? Isn't it going to smell? And then, like, I read the pamphlet, and, like, there's a whole science behind it.
Well, they put lye or something?
No,
they or chalk or something.
No, they put it in a like a vault, and then they seal it, and then there's like airflow.
Because when we went to Sleepy Hollow, we got to walk through Ye Olde Mausoleum.
I mean, I don't know what they did back in the day, but from what I remember reading in the thing, it's like
it just stinks.
The casket goes in, it gets sealed shut, and then there's like a ventilation. Like they pump air in there, I guess. But again, if nobody goes to see them, then they're kind of just there. Like,
well, I mean, eventually they are just there.
Where was I going with it? That was my first experience with a mausoleum, and I'm like, oh, that's so great, because now bodies don't have to go in the dirt, and they don't have to decompose. And, now when, scientists figure out, the secret,
how to reanimate dead bodies,
like they'll start with the ones in the mausoleum.
Oh my God. That's why I'm going au natural.
That's another reason why, like when I've discovered what cremation was, I'm like, no, absolutely not. No, I do not want any part of me on fire and ceasing to exist.
And for that, and only for that reason, I will not cremate you.
Yeah.
Because I know
I want to be.
You would be very upset
because if coming back is an option, sign me up.
I am going to go naked in a sack, put me in the ground, and plant an apple tree. Plant an apple or an orange tree or something over me. Something that would be nice to sit on.
There's a percentage of our listeners who now just tuned out because they're like, talking about death, can't listen to this one.
Listen. What did Grandpa say? Death is all around you. And I mean, that's just it. Is that?
I mean, like being at the cemetery and looking down in the hole like before they drop them in.
Oh, I know.
It's just like, I mean, there's a little bit of comfort I get from knowing it's like, okay, they're in the casket goes into a vault. It's like it's sealed in a metal vault, so it's less likely
metal.
Yeah, it's like steel.
Should it be
iron.
stone?
No.
Not
the ones I saw.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Because the thought of being, dirt and
bugs,
getting in is like.
When I was a freshman in college, when I went to the University of Hartford, all the freshmen had to do like this counseling class where there were like 3 or 4 people would meet with like a guidance counselor essentially once a week and talk about the experience of adjusting to college and stuff. And my counselor was a former gravedigger. And he used to talk about that quite a bit. And it's just like, oh my. And all my brain imagines is every version of A Christmas Carol I've ever seen in my life. And I'm just like, But my grandmother's funeral, we were actually at my grandmother's funeral, we were front row for the casket at the cemetery.
Graveside.
Graveside. And that was weird. I don't remember it being lowered in. Now, when I went to my grandmother-in-law's funeral, I don't remember seeing the casket lowered into the ground, but I mean, we all threw dirt in.
I missed both because I remember when John went, I wanted to stay there until he got lowered in.
Yeah.
And they were like, it's not going to happen right away. I don't remember why. Like, we're all going to the restaurant to eat now. Like, don't worry. I'm like, I want to make sure that, nothing happens to him. It's just where my head was at the time.
Yeah.
That was my first, experience with immediate family death. And so I didn't get to see it, but, I came back afterwards and, it was covered and stuff and everything. With Mom, I missed it by like mere seconds because my girlfriend at the time, her dad was like 100 feet away. And we went to go pay our respects to him. And when we came back, Mom had been lowered. And I'm just like, it was the same thing.
I mean, couldn't you have waited? He wasn't going anywhere.
It was the same thing at the wake the day before because I had come straight from work. And so I walk into the funeral home and they were going to close it before they started accepting visitors. And I had like literally 5 minutes with my mother's open casket before they closed it. And I'm like, that wasn't enough.
Yeah. I remember saying goodbye to my uncle when his casket was open. And then, the viewing for my uncle and my grandmother were both open casket all the way. Mm. And I remember thinking that, I hadn't seen him in so long. I hadn't seen him in so many years because we weren't speaking. I hadn't seen him in like 3 years, I think, at that point. And I remember thinking that it looked like he gained weight. Mm. And my grandmother, I remember thinking that dress makes her look so young. It was weird. It was real weird. And then at my grandmother's funeral, my aunt, her sister, so my great aunt, this is one of my favorite stories of stories about funerals that I have, is my great aunt at that point was losing it. Mm. She was sort of off in dementia land. And she started talking to me about how they sort of sat her next to me like, here, why don't you visit with Jess? And, and she started talking to me about this little girl who used to come to her house all the time and fuck with her jewelry and make a mess of her house and everything. And the more she talked about it, the more I realized she was talking about me without realizing who I was. And I was like, well, shit. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And we weren't even told when she died. I was bummed about that. I would have liked to have said goodbye to her.
The hardest part about all of this for me with the immediate family is I always scramble trying to find as many videos as I possibly, I always feel like I don't take enough videos while they're here. Like I've searched, all my hard drives and everything for years trying to find things with John and Mom in them. And I still don't feel like I haven't, because I want to be able to see them and hear their voice and, watch them move. Granted, I have probably a few more videos of Dad. Because eventually the presence of mind takes over where it's like, okay, they're not going to be here forever. Take what you can now. Like that's why I used to carry a camcorder around when I was in high school. Like, to this day, when I I'm trying to take pictures of people or videos, like, no pictures, don't do that, whatever. And it's just like, in that moment, I'm thinking like, hey, I'm just trying to capture, an entertaining minute. But
in their minds, they're thinking, this is what you're going to look at, and you're going to see me looking like this. Maybe that's just me.
But, so a small part of me in that moment is also like, we're not going to be here forever. And this is what I'm going to look at when I need to see your face and hear your voice. I was amazed that I came across that video of us trying to scare John when he came home for Christmas. I'm like, because I hadn't looked at my camcorder tapes in years. Those were all from like 05, 06, back when I was in high school. And something prompted me to dig that camera out and look at those tapes. And there we were sitting on the staircase with the lights out, Mom, Mark, and I, with the Santa Claus rigged up for John to walk past.
And now it's in the garage. Oh man,
Oliver was terrified of that when he was terrified.
I think rightly so. It's creepy.
Well, what's really funny is that a lot of restaurants in town had that in their vestibule. Yeah. That's what gave Mom the idea to get one. How about a song to get you into the holiday spirit? But yeah, this fucking sucks.
It does.
I said to you, I think yesterday, I'm like, I have so many terrible memories of my dad, fights, bickering, disagreements, like all these things he did that made me so angry and mad and frustrated. And in that moment when I was saying this to you, I couldn't think of a single one because all I could think of was all the things he did do for me. And that's probably one of the most important lessons I learned from my parents is that it's not that nothing is forever. It's that, you will be mad at people for a time, but you'll get over it. And you'll realize that whatever you're mad about, it's not worth holding on to. And you will reconcile at some point because you'll see what's really important.
I mean, it's an idea. It certainly is, and it's a very optimistic one. For me, the idea also exists that even, being mad, being, angry, being hurt, by someone, it doesn't it's not a tipping scale. It's not like this person sucked, which means that they're not good. It's like, no, no, no. The good still exists. Mm-hmm. And it will always, check itself one way or the other or balance out. It doesn't, it doesn't take away anything from the fact that you have all of these good memories. I've said many a time that, my uncle I have clear, vivid memories of my uncle doing some really shitty things and saying really hurtful, mean, nasty things about me, about my family, about his family, about perfect strangers, and his opinions about the world and everything like that, and thinking, this man is kind of an asshole. But it's like, I also still remember, lying on the floor of the living room with him, sharing, the arm of the backrest that was on the living room floor, and us just lying there on our backs looking at the TV, and he just goes, "You like sharks, right?" And then puts on Jaws for a 6-year-old. So now you know where that came from.
I was at odds with John when he died, and I've hated that and regretted it ever since. I'm so glad that Dad and I were not at odds when he died.
Yeah. And you got to hold on to that.
You know those cards I was holding in last week's episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know this.
Mm-hmm.
He bought me my first set of those. On a Sunday afternoon, we had gotten out of church and went to the comic book store. And I remember sitting in the passenger seat being mesmerized by those things. And, later on in life, I couldn't help but think, I'm like, it was him. He's the one who did that for me.
And the last gift you gave him was a deck of cards that you made for him.
Mm-hmm. And I can remember every trip to Scouts, every trip to play with my friends, every trip to the club or the range to go shooting, every Saturday afternoon working the store with him.
Yeah.
Making me go to Subway to get him a 6-inch, make sure the mayo goes on the bread first.
Oh my God. Of course. The king of micromanagement.
Just a few jalapenos.
Just a few. Count them.
Just a few.
Count them.
And a few means 3, for those who don't know.
And that's really the most important thing, is to just hang on to those things.
If you guys check it's in my story right now. Maybe I'll post it at some point. But if you check my Instagram, I posted a picture. I definitely told this story on an earlier episode, but we got the weekend wrong. Like back in the day, you used to go to the Danbury Mall dressed in costume on Halloween or around Halloween.
That was after it wasn't okay to go trick-or-treating at strangers' houses anymore.
No, this was
No,
while
you could
yeah
still do that.
yeah no
That's nice.
this was the early '90s,
Gotcha.
and it was I think my mother's idea that we go dressed as the cast of Peter Pan,
Mm-hmm.
and so I remember my grandmother had like sewn our costumes and stuff like that,
You look good.
and yeah, uh, Dad basically just threw on his regular clothes and put a bandana on
Yeah.
and made himself Smee.
Yar.
But the thing was is that we went on the wrong weekend
Mm-hmm.
because we walked into the mall and we're basically all just in our pajamas and robes and stuff, and nobody else is in costume.
I mean, with your mother walking around in a
nightgown,
nightgown,
yeah.
I mean, it's like she looked like she came straight out of the loony bin. That's funny. She's like a Fellini. She's like a Fellini character, just drunk dancing in a fountain.
And I do take some solace in the idea that her and Dad and John and Shorty are if you believe in that sort of thing, they're together.
I do. I absolutely do.
Yeah, it's just it's tough for me because I'm the youngest of my immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
and so presumably I'm the last to go, which means I'm going to end up watching everyone go before me. And I hate thinking about that, but it's a reality. It's a thought in my head.
It is a real possibility.
Yes, that makes more sense.
But you still have plenty of time to make good things happen.
And I don't want to waste a second of it. And that is why I'd never pass up an opportunity to tell you how much I love you and appreciate you and what you do for me and what you mean to me and how much you make me laugh. And, I said it on Saturday. I dedicated our last song to Dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the audience, I'm like, don't pass up an opportunity to tell people what they mean to you.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how much time you've got.
I've said, you tell your friends and your family how much you love them so much it's embarrassing. I sent Rob a fucking like a video of a cat going crazy today that says, I'm just checking in on you. Make sure you know I love you.
I almost want to withhold hugging Oliver, especially when he's around his friends, like at band and stuff. But, because again, he's at that phase where, it's like, oh, this is embarrassing. But there was a time where we almost lost him.
I'd never give up an opportunity to hug that kid.
I'd almost forgotten about that, and I was reminded of that tonight. We almost lost him.
Mm-hmm.
And I now I never pass up an opportunity to hug him, and I don't
Damn
pass
right.
up an opportunity to tell him I love him.
No matter how much it embarrasses him. And
I told him tonight, I said, you're a good man. Good man. I'm proud of that kid. I'm proud of what he's become.
Hell yeah.
Which is something, there was a time where I never thought I'd ever get that kind of praise from my dad, but there are a few moments I can look back on and remember that he, offered up sage-like advice and told me he was proud of certain accomplishments. Yeah. And, I just, there were things I wanted him to be like the TV dads. But that was an unrealistic wish because he was who he was. And I had to learn
sort of like
to accept that.
Mix between Al Bundy and Homer Simpson.
No.
No?
No?
No? Maybe that's just what I saw in the last couple of years. You okay?
I was just thinking of John Wayne and Woody Woodpecker.
Well, if you're going to be a combination, why not that one?
Later on in his life, I tried making an effort to reignite his youth.
Yeah.
And one holiday, Christmas or whatever, I got him a couple of Woody Woodpecker comics because I'm like, maybe this will give him a laugh or a chuckle or whatever. Because I started to think to myself, like, he's an older parent. Like, I'm the youngest of 4. So a lot of my friends' parents are much, much younger than my parents. And as I get older, I was able to see more how, as the world changes, you feel a lot more detached because you feel like nobody gets you anymore. You feel like things are moving too fast, and the world you once knew doesn't exist like it used to, and it becomes upsetting because things change around you that you're unfamiliar with. And I couldn't help but think that must be, to a degree, how he may have felt. And I can only imagine that might, happen to me as I get older. As the world changes, I may get upset with how things aren't how I once remembered them. And I can only hope that people will have compassion for my feelings.
Yeah.
So, again, there were moments where I wanted to scream at him and tear his head off, but there were moments where I'm like, you know what, he's human too.
We all are.
And our last meal together was at Denny's, of all places.
Because the Grand Slam was buy one, get one for $1.
And it's an American institution.
Well, I'm glad that you finally got to go to Denny's with somebody, because it was never going to be me. This was a good talk.
I could go on forever about this man, and I would, but yeah, it's the hardest part is yet to come, because it's not the shock, it's not the ceremony and the burial, it's everything after.
Yeah.
The selling of the house, the disbursement of possessions,
So the
walking away from it all and realizing that, his life is over.
People live on for as long as you remember them. Period. And obviously, you're never going to forget him.
No.
And that's what's important. Well, I'm going to call it. Thank you out there in podcast land for tuning in. This was a good talk. Hold each other close. Tell each other you love them, and be excellent to each other. Find us on social media, DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's. If you go to our website, thattalkingpodcast.buzzsprout.com, you can now become a supporter of this show. You can make a monthly contribution as little as $3 a month to help support us, to help us, keep this content coming out. And
to get some extra content.
We'll get some extra content, some bonus material for you. Shout out, on the show. And, who knows, maybe some goodies along the way. And
I've got goodies.
Yeah. And you've got a show, Tax Collectors and Harlots. I see you eyeing them grapes. Tax Collectors and Harlots are playing at
Pine Loft Pizza in Berlin, Connecticut.
Pizza on June 20th.
Yeah. Rocket Rooster might be coming with us.
Oh, nice. All right. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And you can find Coat of Arms Tattoo on Instagram, Love Hard Art on Instagram, and get ready because in just a few months, we're going to have the New York Blood and Ink Convention, October 3rd, 4th, and 5th in White Plains, New York. I think that's everything. Thank you, Andy, for doing all you do.
Thank you, JJ.
And for us, and for this, and for you.
Tune in next week for the exciting episode where JJ talks about how she quit her job.
I didn't quit. I was sold.
I was robbed.
That's a story for another day. So until then, from the 3 of us at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
And we'll talk to you later.